That's going well.
Gotcha. I can help you. Do you want to do it right after this meeting? I can show you.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
Okay. Remember these are uploaded to YouTube and podcast form. So if you're looking to catch the recording, Allie will also send out a link to them. If you are privately recording, remember that is for personal use only. Please do not ship, clip or share. Unless you're like sharing it to like, I don't know, who comes to. Invite people. We love you guys inviting people. Today, happy 4th of July. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a day that you can spend with your family, but we also have been growing our businesses before when life is chaotic and we're working a full-time job, or I was full-time with kids during really young kids, so I didn't have time during the day. So I know I used countless holidays to grow my business. So we decided to go ahead and keep this podcast today just to give you the opportunity to continue to think about things that grow your business. If you don't know, get back to the beginning. We are coaching businesses for success. I am Sherry and I'm here with Megan. So her and I do these every week for you. And we share the behind the scenes of our own bookkeeping businesses, what we do, what works, what doesn't. As I mentioned, you can find them on YouTube or podcast. They are uploaded every week. Melinda had a quick win that I wanted to share. She said, my food truck client sold his business this week, but the new owners signed my engagement letter today. So I'll be continuing to provide bookkeeping for this business. So she's already familiar with the business and the new owners said that made a lot of sense. So that is a really cool win. When you become trusted and, you know, it's easier to stick with you sometimes than it is to find a new bookkeeper. So I just thought that was cool because it's what can happen. If you want to get all of these up, all of our free events are uploaded to this calendar. So our free events are public events. If you, sometimes we do webinars like we just did on Tuesday, where we did a 2-hour workshop. So it was just a workshop. There was no sales pitch, anything like that. We got in with 20 students, Megan.
Yeah, I think somewhere around there.
That we went and took a deep dive with on their workflows and how they're running their bookkeeping business. So those hands-on workshops, like I know so many times you can get into a workshop or a training and it's really a glorified sales call. That's not what our workshops are. We're very intentional. Those are workshops that we have for our students and we will occasionally open them up to the public. So they go on here for you. But today we wanted to talk a little bit about what really moves your business forward. I had something happen this week that kind of prompted this conversation where I had to choose between like, is this really going to move my business forward? Or is this just, am I just doing this because I'm quote unquote supposed to do it? Based on this topic, we have a book recommendation for you. And I want to go ahead and let you know about this book recommendation before we jump in. This is The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. I think it's a really short read. There's a keynote on it too, if you want to supplement the reading with that as well. But what I like about this book is it really focuses on growing a business without all the fluff and paying attention to what it really takes to have clients that you like, that like you, and become that trusted expert that so many of you actually want to become. So there's the book recommendation, The Pumpkin Plan. And I will put the name of that. It's by Mike Michalowicz. It's available on Amazon. So I just posted the Amazon link there for you. I'm sure you can also, it's library, and I listening to it on Audible makes a lot of sense. I listen to a lot of his books on Audible because he actually narrates them and he's pretty funny. So he'll ad lib in the Audible book, and I think that's always nice to get additional stories. There. That's just me. So Megan, you and I have been through so many different situations, and sometimes as we've gone, it becomes evident that like something that we were doing at the beginning of our business no longer serves our business today, and we have to let those things go.
Yep.
I know when I was growing my business at the very beginning, I was pretty heads down with like, let's just see if this works, like if this concept works. I wasn't necessarily following any groups. I didn't know other people who had a bookkeeping business. I just knew it was a service I could provide to people. And he kind of did a thing on Upwork, posted it and said, let's see if this platform is any good with their changes. Because that's when they had just changed it from like Elance. They shut that business down. They remarketed it as Upwork. So it was a whole new platform. And so I put a profile up and just said, let's see what this brings. And within, it was less than a month, I had 2 different clients come to me from that. And I was like, hey, this makes a lot more money than trying to sell stuff on Teachers Pay Teachers or Etsy. And while it was more work intensive, it did make more money for the effort that I was putting into those endeavors. So I still have my Teachers Pay Teacher shop. It still makes me like $50 a year, which technically just pays for the subscription to Teachers Pay Teachers, and it breaks even every year. I don't know why. I still have it because it takes me no effort, and I would actually have to spend an hour to shut it all down. So that's not worth it. So at least breaks even. And occasionally I think it pays for like a membership for the kids or something. So it's there. But we wanted to focus today on, and I don't know how to say this. I think you can say it so many different ways, like the 80-20 principle, or what really moves your business forward. Where does it make sense to put your focus? And this topic comes up so much, where we see bookkeepers. We'll be on a one-to-one, and I know I have these a lot. I'm sure you do too, where we start to find out that the bookkeeper is spending maybe 10 hours a day trying to grow their business. And when we look at the numbers, they're making $500 a month, $2,500 a month. And yet they're working more than they would at a full-time job without the full-time income. And that's always really frustrating to me, because that doesn't have to be the case with a bookkeeping business. Even, I would argue, if you're learning how to do bookkeeping. Makes sense. So yes, there's research, there's learning. So often we can just get on a quick one-to-one with someone and cover sometimes 5 questions if they're short questions, that if they're beginner learning, we can cover those 5 questions. Sometimes if it's more complicated, then it's, one question during the one-to-one, and it's really getting in there and uncovering what the client did. But there are some things that are just like uniform time wasters. And that is sitting at your desk, organizing your statements for the 10th time in a row. Like, this is going to get easier if I just have a better organization plan. And so I'm going to reorganize my business again. I'm going to rethink through my website and my onboarding process. And you've already done it twice this year. That is not a good, right? Those things are better done when you're onboarding a client. So if you know that you need to improve your onboarding process, the next time you sit down to onboard a client, spend an extra 5 hours and make it the way you want it to be made, and don't touch it again. I haven't touched my onboarding process, I'm probably maybe ashamed to say, for 2 years. It's been the same onboarding process. Give or take, like if, a link changes or something, but like the concept of my onboarding process, I haven't touched in 2 years. And I sat down 2 years ago. I updated my website again. I redid how I was doing my email marketing. And then that led to how I was doing my onboarding. So it all kind of got touched right then and there because I was trying to streamline a couple of things. And I haven't touched it since. So it's the same onboarding process, same email process, same. I want their QuickBooks link if I can have it. Just because I started finding people will give me their QuickBooks Online access and then I don't have to ask for it later. And it just made my life easier.
Definitely.
Do you have to do that? No, you don't have to get it. It's just cool that they will give it to you and then it saves me a time. Like that's because I noticed the clients that were coming to me were already willing to like, oh yeah, take a look. Let me know what you think. Like, I trust you, you know? So like, and then that was different than when I started. That probably would not have been the case. I probably should have said that on Tuesday. That probably would not have been the case when I first started. I don't think I thought that through. I think I was asked about it. Hopefully you guys are listening to this on the replay. And hear me say that. But then, you know, May, June, everyone is renewing their QuickBooks Pro Advisor certifications, or some of you guys are working on getting your QuickBooks certification. I would evaluate, is that really going to move your business forward? Or how many people actually get clients from QuickBooks Online? How many people are going to go work for QuickBooks Live? Are you, most often when I've gotten contacted through the QuickBooks Pro Advisor program, 75% of the time it's been spam. Where someone's just, there's like a couple of very specific, like they'll contact you for like a spam, like, can you cut checks for me? Or can you do something really odd? And as you ask a question back, you find out that they're impersonating another company or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I've had one person that was really legit and I couldn't get back to them that same day. So I lost, you know, that wasn't an opportunity I was able to start over here. So I would evaluate what what certificates are you getting? I got my Gusto partner certificate and QuickBooks certificate, I think right around the same time. Gusto was fairly new at that point in time. And so they were really proud of their partner programs and stuff, which I'm glad I did because I was able to learn it without going through a course to do payroll. And that got me more confident in saying, I can use Gusto to run your payroll. It just gave me the opportunity to click buttons that I wouldn't have normally clicked before I had a client that needed it. But if I had to renew a Gusto certificate, 100% I'm not renewing it. You know, I don't think I would have ever renewed it just because their site, like I can call support and say, can you help me with this? Regardless. And it doesn't give me like a cut in the line. So there's not. So yeah, if I had to renew that, I probably would not be renewing it. Just fun fact. But what does move the business forward? Showing up every day to do something in your business. So check your email, check your voicemail. Those move the business forward because if, you know, they're good practices. Marketing every day. And that is up to you on how you market it. Where are you sending emails? Are you getting people on an email list? Are you posting on Facebook every day? And if you're posting on Facebook every day, do you have a plan in place that you're executing that will lead you to results? So I love Cameron Montgomery's program with Apex Methods, where he teaches you step by step how to use Facebook, how to DM, how to talk to people. And using his program step by step, like we know that gets people results. Whereas sometimes people will think that they're following a very similar program to Cameron's, but they're not communicating in such a way that are going to get them messages, or they're not DMing. they're not interacting with people. They're not having conversations. Now, do you have to DM? Probably not. If you're going through Cameron's program, do you have to DM? Yes, because that's part of his program. And I've seen people go through his program and not DM and not get results. Because if you're following his program is designed, it's based on DMing the people you're interacting with. Whereas if you're doing something really similar to Megan doesn't DM because her process is slightly different. And so her system doesn't revolve around DMing. So she knows that every day she has to post to Facebook multiple times a day. Well, not every day. Do you post multiple times still every day?
Mm-hmm. Yep, every day.
Well, you post every day, but you post multiple times still every day.
For the most part, but at least one time a day, but I'm not like I was before. In the beginning of my business, it was like 5 to 10 times a day. So no, not to that extent.
So what she did, let's pause on that because I think that's really important. So she read the book 10X Rule.
10X Rule.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago. In that book, it's really talking about like 10Xing your efforts. So if you know something's going to work, why not 10X it to get the results that you actually want? How you can guarantee the results if you 10X it. I did this when I was doing Upwork. I knew I needed to like 4X my business, so I 10X my efforts, ensuring that I would hit my goal. So what Megan did is she had to get the freight train going. She had to let everyone know on her Facebook, everyone that she was adding as a friend on Facebook, know she's a bookkeeper, she's an expert in the field, and she can get the job done right in like the first time, right? So by 10Xing her posting, it's really hard to get a freight train moving. There's a lot of coal involved, a lot of energy involved to get the momentum because it's so heavy. Same goes with marketing. Once it's moving though, it's your job to ensure it keeps going. And that's where posting every day minimum is Megan's effort to keep the train going. And every now and again, she's going to go up a hill, or she wants another client quicker than maybe she thinks it might be coming. So she's going to post as it's relevant to her audience. You're laughing, Megan. What's up?
No, because you're right. That's that's exactly what I do.
I'm very observant. But it's so true though. Like, I mean, because if you want a client quicker, you're gonna post more. Like, did you know that that's gonna get you the client?
Exactly.
And it's not that you're spamming your audience when you do so, because when you post more, it's let me post. I need to post more, so I'm gonna post a motivational speech. I'm gonna post a quote, or because what happens is where your energy is where you're focused, right? So now Kaylee came to you and said, I would like to go to this competition, Mom. Please help me get to this competition. And you're like, oh, that's now you guys are going to Ohio or something, not too long from now. Okay, so we're going to Ohio and I need travel money. So a cleanup or something like that. So now you're thinking about it. Because you're thinking about it, you're going to post more on Facebook because your posts come easier.
Yep.
Right. Minimum though, the effort is I'm going to post to Facebook. Now I'm thinking about it more, so things are coming to me more. And I think the business owner I'm trying to talk to needs this quote that I just saw because I needed the quote. Right.
Yep.
So that's an example of something that moves your business forward. For me, communication is one of my big pillars. I have 3 pillars. Communication is like my top pillar. Well, the one that I can influence the most, right? That's following up with people. That's emailing. That's checking my email. And I have struggled with this over the years in terms of like when I first got started, I was in that weird situation where working when I was in corporate, I was bringing my computer home. I was working at night. I was always on my computer. And now as a stay-at-home mom, I looked up and I don't think I had touched a computer in 2 years. I didn't have to. I could do everything on my phone or my tablet, and I didn't really need my laptop. So my email, I would forget to check my email. And it wasn't that big of a deal, but I would then panic if I got an email from a client. And I would check it at the most inopportune times, such as at the zoo with my kids. Why would you do that to yourself? But it like becomes habit to check your phone for a text, and then it started becoming habit to check my email, and I'm like, I don't have to check it. I can check it at 10 and 3, and that's fine. And I now have a signature. I added to my signature a couple of months ago because I kind of was going back into a season where I was like, I need to start checking my email like twice a day, not all day long, because I worked on the past 2 years, I've been directing all of my client communication to a client portal called Keeper. And in doing so, I've noticed my email usage has actually gone drastically down, but my effort to check the email did not keep up. So I was checking my email and just moving stuff to spam all day long. That's not a good use of my time. So much so I now have my VA kind of just checking my email once a day to like clear out anything that we haven't put a rule on, or spam, or forward stuff to the bookkeeper who needs it. I still check it twice a day. Actually, I still check it more than twice a day. But in my mind, I only have to check it twice a day. And so what I realized was I was doing a lot of effort with email checking because my pillar is communication, that I really want to make sure I'm communicating with clients and things like that. But it wasn't moving. The act of checking my email is not moving me forward. If a potential client emails me and it takes me 4 hours to respond, I'm not going to lose the client because it took me 4 hours to respond. Or they're not my ideal client. They're not a client I want. Like if they respond urgently, email has never been an instant gratification. Email has always been designed. I'm going to email you instead of putting something in the physical mail. And so I don't expect an immediate response. I just expect a response faster than I would a mail, like in the mail. So now the standard is about 24 to 48 hours. You would expect a response. With a potential, if I can get back to them same day, that helps me get the client, right? And by same day, I mean business day. So if they email me at 4 p.m., I'm probably not emailing. If I'm done, if I'm out of my email, I'm not emailing you until the following day. Unless I check it, then I've been known to email. And I've been known to. That was a big issue when I got started. So it just doesn't move your business forward. The simple act of checking email does not move your business forward. The simple act of checking your voicemail does not move your business forward. But if you do not have a habit of checking your business voicemail or your personal voicemail daily, I would develop that habit of making sure that messages, because for me, I don't really get notified. I just get like a little bubble saying, hey, you have a voicemail. And it doesn't ding me, like it doesn't really, like I don't really notice it. So I do have to put, for myself, I do have to put some effort into making sure my voicemails get checked for my business. But I don't need to do that more than once a day. I don't think. So I do that kind of middle of the day, just kind of check in. And yeah, it's not the first thing I do. So okay, so there's a couple of things that don't move your business forward. So posting on your business page, not adding friends, that effort we've talked about, that's not going to move your business forward. So marketing without a plan doesn't move your business forward. Simply checking email doesn't move your business forward. The other thing we see is signing up for absolutely every webinar, workshop, course that you possibly could. We love these, because they're free. You can listen onto replay. You can listen to them when you're driving. I listen to stuff like this all the time. But what we've seen is bookkeepers research marketing for a year before they start marketing. And in that effort of researching marketing, they've signed up for 3 Facebook ad courses. They've spent money on Facebook ads before they know what they're offering or who their ideal audience is. They've spent money on marketing programs that they're not executing or don't have time to execute. They've then decided, well, it's not marketing that's my issue, it's my workflows that's an issue. So now they're signing up for Monday, Keeper, trying all of these different platforms. And I think trials are good. I just think if we're trying to solve like the need for getting clients in the door by workflows, the best workflow software is the one that you will use. And not the one that you think your future team will use, the one that you will use, because you can train your team to use it. Switching over to Keeper, when I did that, I was previously in Asana. Before that, I was in Monday, and I really liked the way I had Monday set up. But I changed from Monday to Asana, A, because it was free, B, I bought a course teaching me how to use Asana. 3, my husband insinuated he would use Asana. Guys, he never touched Asana. That poor guy, he was trying. He also never touched Keeper, so I moved to Keeper thinking, oh, he'll get into Keeper. Not really. He does get into Keeper, but it wasn't like revolutionary to our business. But now Keeper, I developed it to really serve my bookkeeping business. Megan, what other thoughts do you have on?
I would say the same, like talking on that a little bit more. The same goes with like even bookkeeping courses, because a lot of times people get hung up on feel like they don't know every single thing that they need to be able to handle a bookkeeping client and or whatever that case is. But you learn so much more hands-on. So if you can just, like, they'll take this course, they'll take that course, and now you're a year into taking courses, still don't have a client. Whereas I can tell you, like, personally for me, I learned way more hands-on with my first client than I learned in any course that I took. And I mean, we see that a lot. And I think it's more of the fear of not knowing how to handle a client or whatever. But there's so many, like, we have the one-to-ones available. So like you have options where you don't have to do it alone or worry that, like, hey, I don't know how to do this, or this person's going to come and I'm not going to answer that question. Like there's ways to get those answers, instead of getting hung up on those things. So I think a lot of times, well, even like you mentioned, you were talking about ProAdvisor earlier with the certifications and stuff. That's one of those things that I put on hold and didn't do. I started, but I signed a client and started signing clients and was working still full time and just didn't have time to continue to do it, and never got ProAdvisor certified. So, I mean, it's not something that you have to have a successful business, but some people feel like they do, So, so yeah, I would definitely say all that for sure too. And like you said, I mean, the biggest thing, if you watched last week's call with Jen, like one of the things she said, action, like that's the first, like, do something. Don't just sit here and watch all the courses and all the things, no matter whether it's marketing or something else. Let's see, that's me. I don't necessarily need all the training, but for sure need practice with client interviews and onboarding. Yeah. And I mean, stuff like that we can help y'all with for sure. You can use one-to-ones for those things. And we just we went over a lot of onboarding in the SOP call that we did on Tuesday, working through all the things. But a lot of that is just holding you back, honestly. Like, get the client and you're going to work out those details as you sign the client on.
The best way to get practice with client interviews is to have them.
Yep, do it.
I would physically challenge you to have 100 conversations a month with people, whether or not that they need bookkeeping. And this is where we, from the book, know exactly what to say. This might not be for you, but this is what I do. So that elevator speech, changing it. Hey, what do you do? This might not be for you, but this is what I do. I help business owners do. And you're going to start getting just more information about like the nice thing about targeting 100 a month in terms of conversations is you're not just finding your next client, you're listening to other people talk about their bookkeepers and what frustrates them, what they love, what problems they additionally need solved beyond bookkeeping. It sounds like a lot. 100 does sound a lot. Teresa says, no clue on how to get that many interactions. People in my circle is not an option. I didn't talk to anyone in my circle for like.
And don't make it so difficult. Make it as it's one of those things like people, one, like when are you in public? When are you having conversations with people? Like my daughter I don't know if you have kids or whatever, but like people who like we're at activities and stuff all the time. So constantly running into parents, talking to parents and stuff. It's always a conversation like, oh, what do you do? Like, where do you work? Like, those conversations are coming up. Just make it a natural conversation. So when you're talking to another business owner, like how can you bring it up without being salesy about it? There's ways to do it without sounding salesy or feeling like, hey, I don't have that many people to talk to. And just having the conversations. Sorry, Sherry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, and maybe it's not 100 right now. Maybe that does feel way out of reach. And so if you're shopping, you're checking out. And I think that's a good opportunity to practice having conversations, because a lot of people have hobbies or a second, like a side income, a side hustle that they like to talk about. And even if it's not that, like, how could you get in front of 100 people? I just did, it wasn't a podcast. I did a training for someone else's program yesterday. And I know that there were about 5 people on. It was really small since it's a holiday week. And there were 5 people on, and I know it's going to be replayed by people in her program. So I got in front of 10 people. Now it wasn't conversations, but I did get in front of 10 people. Like at least. That makes sense.
I am an introvert too, like 100%. But that's also part of the reason why I'm on Facebook and like having like making posts all the time, adding new friends there, having people send me messages, I'm having conversations in DMs. People come up to me and start having a conversation and then you kind of bring it up. So I think you just need to put yourself out there. I will challenge you a little bit. I don't know you personally or your story or anything like that, but I would say that I would figure out what your why is. Why do you want this business? Yep, stop making excuses and go for it. Exactly. Exactly. Figure out what your why is and show up and do it. Get in public places, whether or show up on Facebook. Like you have to figure out, how do you want to market? How do you want to talk to people? Do you feel more comfortable on social media? Okay, what social media platform? Do you feel more comfortable in person? Okay. And just think about the situations that you're in now and how can you bring these conversations up? How can you talk to these people that you're interacting with on a daily basis or that you're just running into randomly at the store? If you want it bad enough, you're going to find a way to talk to that 100 people. You're going to find a way to make sure you meet your goals and stuff. It's not going to be, oh, I can't talk to this person because I'm an introvert when I'm checking out in the line, or that's the only person that I run into. Like you definitely have to make sure that you want it bad enough and that you're going to push and stop making the excuses and go for it.
So you said shop. I'm curious, do you shop local? It might be worth intentionally shopping local, so that you run into the small business owners and start getting there. Because a lot of the small business owners are going to be physically running the cash register, especially if they're just getting started, or they'll be stocking. They're the ones that want to stock instead of running the cash. Because sometimes the small business owners like, I'm going to stock. I'm going to hire someone to do the register because I don't want to talk to people. So I know that's a thing too. And farmers markets is a great place to interact with business owners, if that's up your alley at all.
Yeah, and I would say, especially coming into, I know we're kind of summer right now, but especially coming into fall and stuff, um, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the farmers markets, the craft shows, like events and stuff like that. I did a lot of like helping with those kind of things and stuff in the beginning of my business, just to be able to interact with business owners and show up and not even having a conversation with them specifically like, hey, this is what I do you need a bookkeeper, but just them learning who I was. So I would volunteer at some of these events to kind of help, like, hey, just tell them where they need it to go, or be that run person that they needed at the event, because I didn't have anything to sell. I didn't have, to be able to set up a booth, but like, hey, how else can I help y'all out with this? So then it was getting my face out there and people knowing, hey, that's who she is, that's what she offers. So when they saw somebody else, they knew where to go.
Bookkeepers have a really awesome opportunity to be the small business owner's biggest cheerleader. And so when you're at those events, getting their business card and then physically connecting with them on Facebook, and you can send them a message, hey, I just wanted to connect with you here. So your booth looked wonderful on Saturday. Thanks for letting me connect. That's it. And then you're going to see their stuff. You're going to like their stuff. If they have a sale going on, you're going to share their stuff. Right? If they're not selling a product, maybe they're kind of an influencer in the area, you're going to share their quotes. You're going to share that. You're going to support them. Even if they don't support you back. Just because they're going to be seeing you. And it starts to build a habit of taking us from, so when I started my business, I very intentionally was not on, I was not really sharing it on Facebook. I was very by myself in my own little bubble. And I think that was good for me when I started. So I was able to get to 3,000 a month just using Upwork. And when I say I was talking to 100 people a month, I was physically commenting or submitting 100 bids a month. So that was someone saying, hey, I need bookkeeping. And that was me saying, hey, this is how I could solve your problem. And I go through all of that in the Upwork training that I did, but it was just me saying, hey, I can solve your problem. This is how. And I would do anywhere from 100 to 300. When I first got started, it was like 30. It was 30 a month, and that was it. That's all I could do. And the 30 a month got me to 3,000. So if you need to target 30 real conversations with a business owner, do that. Get 30 business cards, connect with 30 people, real human beings that have seen your face and have had a physical conversation for you. Jeremy does talking to 100 people, dispatch calls? No, because obviously those, they're calling in to talk to someone who can help them, not be sold to. So those do not count for sure. I don't think.
Yeah, no, you want to make sure it's definitely conversations with people. I mean, the idea would be to have conversations with business owners, because they're going to know other business owners, they're going to keep you in mind. But start out, if it's like, to get the practice. I'm trying to remember exactly what you said earlier. Okay, you need it practice with client interviews. Okay, well, start out just having conversations with people, get comfortable talking about what you do and what you have to offer. So what does that mean? So yeah, maybe in the beginning, you're not talking to all business owners, you're just talking to anybody that's going to listen. But at the same time, in your situation, that's probably not a good idea to talk to those.
But even with imposter syndrome, we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, where it's not really a good phrase. But I know some of you are still going to raise your hand and say, I struggle with imposter syndrome, or that you don't belong as a bookkeeper. And when you talk to a business owner, they're going to immediately know you don't know what you're talking about because you're new to this business thing. How many of you this is your first business? Teresa, I don't know if this is your first business, but it can be kind of daunting to talk to a business owner who you feel like has their act together. And you're like, I'm just getting started in business. A, they felt that way too. B, I have worked with business owners who have been in business for 10 years and they have just handed their bookkeeping off to someone and they don't know anything. They don't know anything about their business. They don't know anything about their numbers, and they don't even know that their bookkeeping hasn't been done right. So your job is to make connections with other business owners because they're going to be the best people to support your business, and they're the best people for you to support. Our economy depends on it. 2, your job is to serve. As an entrepreneur, your job isn't to make money. Your job is to serve. Money is a fruit of serving other business owners. So Megan running around, hey, let me help you where you need to go. Do you need to help me carry this? Like all of these things, she's making real connections. She really served and said, hey, this is where you go. This is where your booth is located. This is what you need. Do you need anything else? That's really service, and you get remembered. And so now when she's connecting with them on Facebook, she's developed a local community that is going to rally behind her. We saw her local community rally behind her when she got, when they totaled a vehicle. It wasn't their fault. It was a really unfortunate situation, right? Sharing those events, like building that community. Sometimes we just need to build a community. When I started, I did start my business privately because I was testing it. I didn't want to go to my community first. I wanted to say, hey, I've proven myself in this, like, I'm going to do this. This is what I want to do, whatever. And then I presented it to my community, and they have been my biggest supporters, and they have been the bulk of most of my income. So apart from Upwork, my community has been most of my income, which is a huge blessing because they shout me out if someone says, hey, I need help with money. I'm kind of, if money comes up, taxes come up, if something comes up, I'm the first go-to, and then I can point them to where they need to go.
Okay. Tracy, you have very bad anxiety during test interviews and forget all the knowledge. Afraid to even figure, if you figure out marketing, you won't get clients because interviews go bad. This is not an interview for one. And it goes both ways as well. Even if you're looking at it as an interview, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you. So you can tell them no just as quick as they can tell you no. Somebody told me in the very beginning of my business, and I've hung on to this, and that has helped me get through some of this anxiety and stuff too, because I didn't have the experience doing bookkeeping. Am I going to say the right thing? Am I going to know the answers to their questions? They ask me all the things. You can't say, I'm going to screw this up just because I'm thinking so hard about it. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. But like I've hung on to that from the beginning, and it's helped me to show up, because if that person's meant to be my client, no matter what I say, no matter how that conversation goes, they're going to be my client at the end of the day. So definitely think about that. Like try to think about that when you go into it. But again, these are not it's not like you're going to a test or you're going to an interview. And if it feels like that with the potentials that you're running into, find some new potentials. There's more potentials out there. It should just be a casual conversation. You should be asking them questions, trying to learn more about their business. How can you help them? How can you support them? The more questions you ask and the more control you have over the conversation, the less it's going to feel like an interview, and the less time they have to ask you questions and you feel like you're taking a test anyway. So just try to be in control of the conversation. And I think, honestly, like if you're that afraid of doing like the in-person and stuff like that, post on Facebook. You can have conversations in your DMs. I've signed people up in my DMs from conversations that I've had there and never gotten them on phone calls. Like that's definitely possible. Like if that's what you have that fear behind it, because you have a little bit more control over that conversation. You know the question they asked, you can now think about it and all the things. But I mean, like I said, I get it because I didn't have the experience. So I mean, you're a step ahead of where I was. You have the experience, some of the experience and the knowledge.
I'm so glad Megan said that. 100%, you're not interviewing, you're not an employee, you're a service provider. And I think that's a really important shift to make as you're talking to people. Because with the difference being you have overhead. You now have overhead, you have your own health, and you might have your own health insurance, you might have your own, I mean, bookkeeping in general is a very low overhead business. It can be. I've seen some people make it really expensive with overhead because of their continuing education, or they're buying all the softwares and all the things. QuickBooks is free. Google Workspace costs $6 a month. Yeah. $12 a month if you are at a point where you need extra storage, but you're not going to be at it for a while. Or if you sign up and the price is a little, but there is a $6 plan. So we'll try to default you to 12. If someone's listening to this, there is a $6 plan or $8 plan, whatever it is. Maybe the lowest plan is now 12, but there is a low plan. So under $25 a month. I remember when I started out, my only expense was the Upwork expense, and I was paying $15 a month to have the pro subscription, because I didn't have to buy the bids to bid. And because I did that, I gave myself permission to take the business seriously, versus being limited to 3 to 5 bids a month. I knew that the volume, and I was able to test it, like, okay, let me try this, what do I get? So I knew that about 30 bids a month, so conversations with business owners, would get me about 10 conversations, like real conversations that led to bookkeeping conversations. So when you go to the farmer's market, you're meeting business owners. I would expect 10 of those within the next 6 months. So for me, my time was a shorter turnaround. But I'm going to say, if you're going to a farmer's market, you're meeting people. 10 of those business owners, or it's going to go somewhere on Facebook. Not all of the 30 people that you talk to at the farmer's market are going to be on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you're at. So you're going to connect with as many of them as you can, or send them an email. Hey, it was so nice to meet with you at the booth. Maybe you offer them one of your resources, and you say, hey, if you, I was thinking of you based on this conversation. I have this resource that helps business owners just manage their revenue better. Here's the link to it if you would like it. But again, it was so nice to meet you. If you're ever on Facebook, here's my handle. If you would like to find me, or on Instagram, here's mine. I would love to follow you. And maybe you can get that from them if you weren't able to find them, and just be very service minded. So you're going to email them. 10 of those over the next 6 months, I would hope, turn into more of a relationship, to some degree. And I don't mean like relationship, you guys are going to go to lunch. I mean, yeah, thank you so much for that. I'm going to download the resource. Here's my handle. That level of relationship, right? So we want 10 of those from that farmer's market. From there, 5 of them over the next 6 months, I would hope, get on a sales call with you. Out of that, one of those will sign. And so if you go to a different farmer's market or connect with 30 different people every week or every other week, that's 60 people you just talked to in a month. So you went to 2, talked to 30 at each. That's 60 people. That's most of the way to that 100 that we were talking about. That would be great. So now you have 20 people that you really connected with on Facebook, Instagram. Now you're following each other. You're seeing your stuff. Now you're motivated to show up to be seen by those 20 people. 10 of those people are going to talk to you in DM or on a sales call. 2 of them we want to sign. Now you have 2 clients because you went to 2 farmers markets. Does that make sense? That's the approach I would take if you're thinking local shops, things like that. Even my husband. So my husband has a local phone repair shop. He's the one sitting there repairing the phones right now. We do his bookkeeping, so he would not need that connection, but he connects with people all day long. He talks to a lot of people that come through his shop. He would be happy to talk to another small business owner about business. He would welcome that conversation because it's fun. It's what he's thinking about all day long. It's what he's thinking about there, and he he actually knows every single people. So he's in like a kind of like a shopping complex, but it's small. There's like 5 people there. He knows every single one of them by name. He knows exactly what they do, and he knows exactly what all of them need. He has 2 reasons to know that. 1, we do bookkeeping and tax. 2, we coach people. 3, he can repair their phones, devices, computers that they're using for their business. Outside of that, he needs a barber, and one of them's a barber. So I don't know if any of them have really supported his business, but he haircuts and beard trims and things like that, services by that. If I was a good wife, I would probably go get my hair done by the lady that does the salon in that same shopping complex, but I haven't done my hair in a while. So I should probably go to her and pay her to trim my hair. Like that is an example of, because those are 5 people, and one of them did call me about 6 months ago. She had some questions with her bookkeeping and her business that she was trying to navigate, and so I got on a call with her and helped her do all of that. So it generated a lead for me. She's not ready for my services, but if I'm there and I see her walking in, I absolutely say hi and all of those things. So that, I just wanted to pause on that and show you like what to do and how to change it from an interview, because some of those conversations look like this. Hey, your booth is so cute. How do you make these? Tell me a little bit about your process. How long have you been doing it? Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Can I connect with you on like Instagram? Do you have a business card? Anything I can take with me today? And we didn't get into, she just told me a little bit about her shop, a little bit about how long she's been doing it. The conversation didn't go anywhere. Okay, so I'm just going to get her business card. I would love to connect and support your business. As far as the conversation went, okay, I go connect with her on Instagram. Hey, it's so nice. It was so nice to see your shop. I love what you're doing. Let me know if you ever need anything. Would love to support your business. She accepts your friend request, sends you back a message. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so she's now one of those 10 because she physically interacted. And now she's going to start seeing your stuff. And you're going to make it a point over the next 2 weeks to really interact with her stuff that she shares, that she posts. If you see her again at the farmer's market, you're going to stop by and say, how are things going since last time we talked? And you're just going to build that relationship. She may never sign up for your services. She might know someone who does. I also would say, when I told you guys earlier about my community, I wasn't really forward facing with my community first until like I was established and I could say, I've been doing this for, other clients, and this is what I do. I really wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing and what I was providing for people before I told my community, because that takes a little bit to understand your pricing, things like that. And so I really wanted to know that before I presented it to my community. If you guys need help with that, just let us know. We will help you. When I went to my community, I identified, there were like 3 or 4 clients that I knew right off the bat I wanted their bookkeeping one day. I have all of their bookkeeping now within 4 years of connecting with them. One of them had a bookkeeper for 10 years. I just got them $35,000 back from the IRS by correcting their books. I've more than paid for myself for like the next 10 years. Which is a good place to be. But the other one came to me. The wife was literally driving to her tax preparer's office and she called me up. Is this what you do? Yes, this is what I do. And at that point, I didn't realize I didn't know how to communicate what I did to people. So that does take work. It does take work to understand what is it that they're saying they need. And this is why conversations are so important. And so she signed same day. So there was no interview. It wasn't, there was no interview. Is this what you do? Awesome. Send me an engagement letter. And actually, she didn't even say, send me an engagement letter. I said, okay, the next step is I'll send you an engagement letter. You'll sign it. Then I'll give you the next steps. No interview whatsoever. Is this what you do? Yes. Sign me up. The same one with the one that just signed that I got the refund for. It was, hey, I'm having an issue with my bookkeeper's pricing. Can you review it? Sure, absolutely. So that was effectively, can you give me a quote? I actually reviewed it with Megan and some of the coaches because it was a really odd situation. I was like, what is going on here? Megan, do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's that client. I was like, wait, let me just get some perspective on this.
Right.
It was kind of weird. There was just a lot more to it than it wasn't just a straightforward like basic bookkeeping quote. And I was trying to give feedback on the bookkeeper's quote. So I was trying to make sure I was above board and neutral. So I went to the coaches and said, can you guys give me feedback on this? The other one, again, came to me and said, hey, you're up. Can you take this on? How much will it be? Again, no interview. They were seeing my stuff on Facebook. They knew me as a person. I had connected with them similarly to what we just kind of talked about. Networking groups is a great way to reinforce that. So if you're interacting with them, if you have the opportunity to ask them about their current bookkeeper, that's awesome. 2, how long have you been a business owner? Oh, 10 years. Oh, where do you connect with business owners? How do you grow this? How have you been growing your business? That's going to give you a lot of insight. They're going to say, oh, I'm 100% on Instagram, 100% Instagram. You'll have others, oh, I'm on YouTube. Go follow them on YouTube, comment on their stuff, right? Like, where are they? Oh, I'm in BNI. I'm at the, Apex chapter up the street. Oh, well, maybe, would you like to come visit? Sure, I'll come visit. Now you're in a room full of 30 more people. And so those conversations lead to more conversations, even if they're not going to, quote unquote, buy from you. I wanted to say one other thing, and it just escaped me. Oh, I had a conversation. I was looking for a different dentist when I was in Phoenix, and I found one. Well, I was waiting on something, so I was in the reception area, and I could tell that the wife was the dentist and the husband was actually manning the desk. No pun intended there. He was handling the desk stuff, and as he was taking my insurance and my payment and stuff, I asked him, hey, I'm a bookkeeper. I'm doing some market research, or I'd love to do some market research on you real quick. Can I ask you a couple of questions? And so I asked him, what do you not like? Like, if you could change something about your current situation with your bookkeeping, what would you change? And again, I'm just doing market research. I don't serve any dentist right now. I'm just curious, like, what would you change? And he gave me some feedback, like they weren't getting timely reports. So that was an example of just how I found out that, they were going to use me as a bookkeeper, but I got to let them know that I was a bookkeeper. So if I had stayed in Phoenix and was using them, I might have become their next option if they decided to change their report situation. But I moved and didn't continue that relationship. And then I called them and asked them a question, and they weren't very kind because I was no longer a client. So there's that.
Unfortunately, that happens from time to time.
I hope this was helpful. I see that we just came up on time, started chatting about conversations, and I really hope that all of you have some ideas that you can take away from this. And the same with conversations. Like, I know, Jeremy, you're on TikTok. Your goal would be to get people to comment and have those conversations in the TikTok threads or in YouTube threads, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't matter where or how you're having those conversations, just have them at the end of the day.
Well, happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th. Yep. Hope everybody has a happy and safe one.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.